It's one of the most controversial courtroom dramas in American history, and if I may, nothing less than a Bollywood potboiler. It involves a former president, an adult film star, and testimony that is of legal and political significance. The first criminal trial of a former American president witnessed Donald Trump facing charges of hush money payment of about $130,000 to adult film star Stormy Daniels back in 2016. Trump sat through the Stormy testimony, which often veered into graphic sexual details. Judge Juan Merkin ordered Daniels to just answer the questions after repeated objections from the defense, several of which he upheld. Stormy, however, revealed a plethora of unmissable allegations. The encounter between her and Donald Trump took place in 2006, as per Stormy, when Trump had pushed her to have dinner with him at a golf tournament. Trump's lawyers called for a mistrial, basically asking the proceedings to be declared invalid, saying much of Stormy's testimony had nothing to do with the fraud charges that the former president faces. Donald Trump, remember, has for weeks said that the New York City trial is keeping him off the campaign trail ahead of the November elections, while repeatedly claiming that the Biden administration is orchestrating these charges against him. Biden, meanwhile, has been careful not to weigh in directly on Donald Trump's trial, instead choosing to keep the focus on his day-to-day events. So how is this case really panning out in United States, and will it have a substantial impact on the US presidential polls this year? Let's get straight into it and understand from my guest tonight. On the show, I'm joined by Raju Chintala. He's an entrepreneur, politician, former GOP congressional contender in the US. I'm also joined by Saurabh Shukla. He's editor-in-chief, Newsmobile.in. Good evening and namaskar to both of you. Raju Chintala, let me start with you. You know, this testimony has been controversial. It's graphic. It is, something that perhaps Donald Trump himself could not have expected, that this would go into such detail during public discourse. But what has been the general sentiment around this trial in the United States within the Republican Party? All right, there seems to be some sort of issue there with Raju Chintala's network. But let me go across to Saurabh Shukla. Saurabh Shukla, this is controversial, this is big. But let me understand from you how you see this trial against Donald Trump. A first for a former American president, and rather controversial and graphic in its public narrative.
Well, it's sad that a former president of US who's again contesting the election and is one of the primary contenders. These kind of charges have come out, and obviously it's a sad thing for American democracy that these kind of things are coming out. Certainly, I would say I've been talking to a lot of people, both his supporters and on the other side. This will have a bearing on his re-election campaign, even though if you see the ratings, Donald Trump continues to enjoy high ratings amongst his own supporters, and obviously is now neck to neck with President Biden. But as this trial, unfolds, a lot of other things come out. Certainly, I expect that this will have some kind of impact, especially on women voters, because these are allegations which he's faced earlier as well. In fact, I recall my interview with Donald Trump ahead of the 2016 campaign, where I asked him about his conversations about women, and obviously he was a bit sheepish about it, but certainly, there is a pattern of sorts. It remains to be seen how the American voters are going to take to this, because obviously the election, this is still some months to go for the election in the US, and certainly things can change. And he has multiple, court cases that he's facing. And he has been claiming that this has been keeping him away from campaigning. But there is a core constituent that he's also building through these outbursts. In fact,
Saurabh Shukla, which is what is something that I
yeah.
wanted to understand from you.
Yeah.
That Donald Trump has been saying that these charges have been orchestrated against him by the Biden administration. How much of that is actually resonating with the public there, with the American people on ground who are seeing this politics play out?
See, if you talk to some of his core Republican supporters, yes, they buy this argument because obviously they feel that uh, some of them still feel that in his theory that he won 2020 election and that the election was stolen from him. So those people certainly are blindly Trump supporters who feel that he is being victimized. But on the other side, there are people who feel that there is merit in these allegations, and certainly there has been a pattern of some of these problems with Mr. Trump. So it remains to be seen which way the wind will blow, because for now, certainly he's also using these cases to actually trumpet the same claims to his supporters that he's being victimized. So, as I said, these are early days. You don't know which way it will swing because there are a lot of other issues which are there in front of the American electorate, whether it's reproductive rights. Now you have the Israel Hamas issue, where you see a lot of university campuses having an uproar over and protest happening. So all these, then obviously the economy will be a major one. Immigrants will be the other issue. So there are multiple issues in the run-up to these elections. But certainly I will say that this case will have a bearing on the way a certain section of voters will decide when it comes to voting in the US election this year. Shreya?
What's also interesting, Saurabh Shukla, is the fact that President Biden has very carefully not weighed in on this directly since the past few months. And I want to understand from you why he is doing what he's doing. Where is this strategy coming from?
See, I think, talking to some of the people in Washington and obviously some of the Democratic Party strategists, I can tell you that this is a conscious attempt by the Biden administration to stay away, citing that judiciary is independent, that obviously these cases are all running on their own merit. So they have done it deliberately to make sure that they are not seen as being in any way interfering or commenting on these cases, because once a case is sub judice, it's not to comment on that. But he has made pot shots at Donald Trump at various things, whether it was the White House correspondent dinner or some of the other campaign speeches that he's making. Certainly, he realizes that Donald Trump continues to have a strong rally from his supporters, and obviously poses a threat to President Biden's re-election. So certainly, the game plan is that he will target, former President Trump, but will stay away from commenting on actual cases. Though he did, there was a mention of Stormy Daniels in passing. So it's not that he's taking pot shots, but not commenting on the cases directly. Shreya?
Okay. I believe we have Raju Chintala back with us on the broadcast. Can we have him on the screen? All right, Mr. Chintala, yes, we have Raju Chintala back. Raju Chintala, I wanted to understand from you how this is being seen, how this trial is being seen in American politics, how this is playing out. It's controversial, it's big. And of course, now, we have rather graphic details of the alleged encounter between the two.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Usually we don't comment on the court cases, what's going on. But this is my personal opinion. Again, don't quote me as a Republican Party or any other organization that I involve. Trump has been dealing with these cases for a long time, since after he left his office, from many cases that's going on. And his supporters are very strong. Whether what happens in the case is his supporters are not going to accept anything that what's going on. He has a loyal supporters. Yesterday, if you look at a lot of things, what happened since polls in the primary, most of the states, his candidates won. Whomever he supported, his candidates won. He has a strong support within the Republican Party. Now he is a candidate for presidential candidate for
And so do you
Republican
think that
Party.
it's not going to have any impact on his voter base? That Americans aren't looking at this case from the point of view of the upcoming elections?
No, no. Unfortunately, both the candidates are in the same boat because he's dealing with a case, and President Joe Biden is dealing with his health issues. President Joe Biden was 29-year-old when he was selected as a senator. He was the youngest senator in the history of United States. Now he's an 82-year-old, and he's the oldest president in the history of United States. So both sides, both of them have strong supporters. And again, we have to wait and see what happens in the month of November. November is going to be a crucial, historical month in the United States history. Who will win, or whether they will even have the candidates, even whether both the candidates will be on the ballot or not, or will they be replaced at the convention? That can happen for both the parties.
Okay. All right. Let me also then ask you my last question, Saurabh Shukla. Yes, Raju Chintala, we can hear you. Let me go across to Saurabh Shukla, and before I wrap it up, Saurabh Shukla, I want to ask from you, about American presidents being allegedly involved in sex scandals. This is not new to American society. There have been instances in the past as well. The biggest example being that of former President Bill Clinton. Of course, you had others also, like the John F. Kennedy. There were rumors about him as well, and others were there too. But in general, what's the kind of sense when such a controversy comes up? How do people view this when looking at somebody who they want to choose as their political leader?
Well, Shreya, every democracy has its imperfections. We've seen these kind of scandals erupting in the U.S. politics. We have seen this happening in Indian politics. You know that in the elections, we've seen something happening in India about a certain member of parliament. So these scandals, as they say, any sexual violence, any thing of this sort should not be happening. It's unpardonable. That's something which is my personal view. But I always, when you speak to people here, sometimes you tend to see that public memory tends to be short. And I will agree with Raju on this, that obviously November is going to be crucial, but there are several stages before this election process completes. The primaries are going to happen, and there are a lot of things which will come out. Who knows, there may be more, revelations in this particular case. Who knows that there will be other things which may come out ahead of the elections. But certainly, I have a sense that while the core base of, former President Trump is intact, but certainly there is a section of voters, and both sides who are undecided. And these cases can have a bearing on the outcome of the November elections as well. Well, there are a lot of other factors at play, but certainly you cannot deny the fact that these, as more revelations come out, that the cases will not have any bearing at all. This is my sense, on what is emerging as of now. Shreya?
All right, of course, we'll have to see how it really moves forward for both Joe Biden as well as Donald Trump, and eventually what happens in the November elections. But I'll wrap it up here. Raju Chintala and Saurabh Shukla, thank you very much to both of you gentlemen for joining us on Nation Tonight and sharing your perspectives. Thank you very much.